be continued. So what's the difference between mini lessons and longer lessons? So longer lessons are really the full, real Feldenkrais experience, I would say. And yet, people sometimes really like the shorter lessons, I am finding. And with our busy lives, if all you have is 15 minutes, then sometimes that is better than nothing. I would say, I think my recommendation is to try both, to try longer lessons, to try shorter lessons. I feel that if you do longer lessons regularly, then you'll benefit more from the shorter lessons because you'll have that, it'll be tapping into, the shorter lessons will tap into this matrix of your experience that has this depth to it. And sometimes just doing the shorter lessons you're just like tipping your toe in the water. But if you have the longer lessons there to connect to in your system, then I think that's the ideal. And at the same time, I know there's some people who are like, I really just like the shorter lessons. So I think, listen to your own comfort and curiosity. All right, so let's get started. We are going to stand today. So get comfortable in a standing position. Find a place to stand. Ideally, you're standing on either a hardwood floor or a rug, but not with too much cushion, so you can really feel your feet. Take your shoes off. Socks are fine, but you make do with what you have. So take a moment to sense how you're standing today. And notice when you bring your attention to your standing, what happens. I noticed immediately I had a nice breath come. And I know because we're doing this via video, you may have your eyes on the screen, but I encourage you, if possible, to take your eyes off the screen right now and just notice where your eyes are interested in going, where there's a kind of pull or neutral place for your eyes to start, just where that is, and without imposing like my eyes should be here or there, just like where do your eyes go? And notice that. And then change your position. So if you're orienting towards one wall, maybe shift and orient to a different place, because that may also affect where your eyes are organized. So now with this different relationship to your space, notice where your eyes are going, gravitating towards, and if it's a different direction. So if before it was a little down and to the right, notice, is it the same no matter where you are in the room, or does it depend on what you're in front of? And then try it one more time. So change your orientation again. Okay. So what did you notice there? Now, next thing is to take a moment to now let your eyes travel a little bit. Just what's easy. You can choose which of those 3 starting places you liked the best in terms of the view or where you'd like to be. And then let your eyes explore a little bit, just seeing what is it that you're interested in. And you can let them linger somewhere a little bit if that feels good, and then move on to the next thing. Just registering the colors, the textures, and really paying attention that you're only looking in the direction that feels easy. So for me, I felt this sort of bias in all 3 situations, a little bit to the right. So I'm just allowing myself to look a little bit to the right and then seeing what's in my view and where would my eyes like to go from here. Noticing what you see. If there's a moment when you kind of get a little spaced out, like you'd like just to kind of stare off in space at this thing for a minute or not really at anything, let that be there until it has its own natural transition to looking at the next thing. So just letting your eyes go for a little stroll, seeing what you see, noticing what you notice. And notice whether you've spontaneously chosen to pay more attention to one side of yourself compared to the other without changing it now, but just noticing that. Like, oh yeah, I'm kind of more right now drawn to look to my right. Noticing what you are aware of also in your bodily experience as you bring your attention to your environment in this way. What catches your eye? Okay. And then pause for a moment. Come back to neutral standing. Let your eyes go where they'd like to go. And now a little bit shift your weight from one foot to the other. Just notice, how is it to shift your weight today? Is there a bias or a preference that you sense? One side supports you more clearly compared to the other side. All right. And now shift your weight onto your left leg. And I'm going to give the directions as if you're on the left leg, but if you feel like, actually, I'd prefer to be on my right leg right now, just reverse the directions. And then you'll stand the toes of your right foot so that your right heel is lifted a little bit away from the floor, and you have more weight on your left side. So just do it like this. So I'm just lifting my heel a little bit away from the floor. So you have more weight on your left side, and you can have a chair nearby if you feel like you need a little bit of support to kind of stay balanced in this situation. So you have your right heel lifted, you're on the toes of your right foot, more weight is on your left foot. And now just very slowly shift your weight to the outside and the inside of your left foot. And you can do this in many ways. So just see how you do this. You can move any part of yourself in any way you'd like. And I suggest keeping your eyes open. And you might experiment with, okay, how do I get my weight to the outside of my left foot? What do I need to move? And where do my eyes go? So just letting your head and eyes do what they would like to do. Maybe as you're thinking, do you end up looking down? Or maybe your eyes start to explore and then turning a little bit. So completely open. So the main kind of foreground project is shift your weight onto the inside and the outside edge of this standing foot. And then you just let the rest of your body do what it would like. And I'm playing with a few different ways of doing it, and I imagine you are too. Okay, take a little pause for a moment. So one image that can be helpful for this is to have the image of your left hip joint. So if you put your one hand in the front, in the crease where your leg creases, and one hand in the back, kind of where you might see someone have like a dimple on their buttocks, and you keep your hands there and just bend a little bit. So you feel you can't actually touch your hip joint because it's inside, but you can feel where it is. Okay, so now come back to having your weight on the left leg and you're on the toes of your right foot. And just feel that at a certain point, you come onto the height of your hip joint. And then you can imagine a little bit of a ball. There's the ball on the socket there. And that you are kind of gliding your weight, the inside edge of your foot, the outside edge of your foot. And at a certain point, you get a little taller at the height of that ball. And then you kind of sink down a little bit, taller, sink down a little bit. This doesn't have to be 100% clear for this to work, but just having this image of the hip joint and that you're gliding over, bringing your weight to the outside edge of your foot, the inside edge of your foot, and continue that, letting your eyes, not intentionally moving your eyes around a bunch, but just noticing where your head and neck and chest go. Okay, and then stand for a moment. Notice what you feel. And walk a little bit. Notice if you sense a difference between your two sides. And come back. And then just shift your weight a little bit left and right. Notice if you feel a difference there. And now bring your weight to your right leg, or if you reversed my directions before, reverse them again. So you bring your weight to your right leg, you can lift the heel of your left foot so you have more weight on your right leg. You can support yourself if you want to. You can right away feel your hip bend a little bit to find this hip joint space, the front and the back, so that you have a clear image, or move in the direction of clarifying the image of your hip joint. And then shift your weight to the outside and to the inside of your right foot. And you can let your hands rest and just play with that a little bit. So the inside, letting the rest of your body do whatever it would like to do. So how do you get to the inside of your foot comfortably, to the outside of your foot, and then having this image of at some point where you are the tallest over the height of your hip, the height of this ball, that there's this tall point, and then you might dip down a little bit on one side of it, on the other side of it. Doing just what's easy for you. Any discomfort, do less, take more breaks. Okay, and then stand for a moment and notice your right side. Walk a little bit. Notice what you're aware of. And then come back to standing and notice right now where you are looking. So where your kind of neutral gaze is and how it is that you're standing over your feet and legs. And is this neutral changed at all? And now intentionally bring your eyes to straight out in front of you as if you were looking out on a horizon line. And then imagine that you could see through the wall and through the buildings and out, way, way, way out into the distance, into a grassy field or into the ocean. So just imagine your gaze going far, far, far out, and then turn to look again through the walls, through the buildings, far, far out. Of course, you have to use your imagination for this unless you're outside. And turn yourself to look through, and you might have to continue to refresh that through, far. And notice as you turn to one side, how do you shift your weight on your feet? And then come back towards the middle, just taking your time to still imagine looking far, 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 far. And the other side, far, 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 far. And if you like this, you can do it one more time to each side, just taking your time to refresh this sense of seeing at a distance. So it's a little bit, you make your gaze kind of soft and you just imagine the distance, noticing the weight shifting. And then if you want to make it a little faster, like you just swoosh through the distance, like you're scanning the horizon, looking and letting your weight shift on your feet, feeling when do you come to the outside edge of your foot, when you can slow it down again, when do you come to the inside edge of what foot. Okay, let that go. Now notice what you're aware of. Notice where your neutral gaze is, your weight on your feet. And then to wrap up our mini lesson, just take another look around the room. So kind of coming back to the here and now, just noticing where your eyes would like to go, what catches your attention. If you're seeing different things or looking in different directions, I'm noticing, oh, it's interesting. I'm going to the left when I was going to the right before. And maybe you could even walk a little bit as you look. So just letting your body participate in the looking. Maybe you want to look out the window. So letting your eyes lead you through curiosity, like what, oh, do you want to look inside a bookshelf? Maybe you see something you haven't seen before or not in a long time. Oh my God. And this is so beautiful. I just landed on, I love this kind of thing. This is like my favorite thing. Okay. I just looked on this shelf that I have not looked on probably in like a couple years. This piece of paper that was on the top of the shelf. And this is a quote from Natalie Goldberg that is on this piece of paper. And this is so perfect. The mind does not have a straight line. The mind wanders and finds its way. So that is so beautiful. What a beautiful way to end the lesson. Awesome. And there's one more quote at the top. She says, "You're better than not good and better than good. You're alive and writing." So I would say you're better than not good. And better than good. You're alive and moving. So that's where we'll end today. Thank you so much. This was really fun. I'm really enjoying these weekly lessons. I'd love to hear from you if you feel moved to write in the comments what you're noticing from this experiment. And also, you may already know or may not know, David Zemach Burson is teaching a 6-week series that starts tomorrow called Creating Neurological Balance and Ease. And the way that he's structuring the lessons is he'll do a lesson on the floor, and then he'll do a mini lesson at the end that can be more of like a full body integration in sitting or in standing, and will be connected to the lesson, but kind of bringing it into uprightness. And so I'm super excited about that. And yeah, what else is going on? There are 3 free days of Movement and Creativity Library at the end of this month, if you're not already a member or currently visiting in another capacity. And at the end of this month, and it's coming so soon, on the 29th of, which is next Friday, not this Friday, next Friday, there will be 2 free lessons on Zoom. One is Mini Feldenkrais lessons for emotional well-being. So I'm going to teach that for an hour. We'll do a few different lessons. And then Deborah Bose is doing a lesson, Calming Your Face, and an introduction to mind mapping, which is really cool. She'll show a mind map of how she's prepared the lesson, and then teach the lesson, and then have a little mind mapping experiment afterwards. Let's see. I'm seeing some thank yous. You're so welcome. And that's interesting. I'd love to hear what was interesting. Definitely, this is a piece of a longer lesson and series of lessons. I just thought, what a nice way to just touch into standing, to touch into shifting weight, to touch into seeing. We're spending so much time seeing close up and connecting this ability to look out to the horizon. Okay, Martha's noticing more ease in your hips, knees, ankles, and neck. Lovely, lovely. And it was so comfortable. And I'm noticing how much more about my body I can notice. Awesome. So thanks so much. And I'll see you next Monday, if not before. Bye.